everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So I'm out here in the desert today working on some reviews for you guys, and I thought I would touch on this whole New Mexico thing because there's some things that I don't think people are talking about too much that need to be talked about. So as I'm sure everybody out there knows, the governor of New Mexico just single-handedly decided that, well, she's going to suspend the Second Amendment while you're out in public in Albuquerque and surrounding counties. So for the next 30 days, forget about it. The Second Amendment just simply doesn't exist. No open carry, no concealed carry, even though the Supreme Court said in Bruin that we have a constitutional right to carry outside of the home for our own personal defense. She didn't really care about that. She decided to use public health, which is what a lot of these governors decide to do when they want to make rules that violate our constitutional right, is, somehow public health is what we're going to use to do that. So that's what she did. Now, there's a lot happening in New Mexico right now, and one of the greatest things that I have seen recently is the public come back and say, we don't care. We don't care what law you're making. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do it anyway. So I am seeing massive acts of civil disobedience just like this one.
Really nice to see my fellow Second Amendment New Mexicans out here have the balls to come out while open carrying, protesting against our tyrannical governor's order trying to ban concealed carry and open carry.
This video is proud to be sponsored by Infinite Defense and the Gen 2 Infinity Target. The Infinity Target is a self-healing target that still allows you to identify your shots. Instead of walking up here and covering up 40 holes with pieces of tape or stapling up a new target, all you have to do is hit it with a can of spray paint and you're good to go all over again. The Infinity Target will take up to 110 rounds per square inch. So this thing's gonna last you a long time, and it is much safer than steel up close. So you can see here, you can still identify your shots. I peppered all over with the 9mm and then got tighter groups with my 223. Only thing I need to do now, simply cover it up. Now, I don't suggest you use red like I did. I suggest you use white, but if you want a tip for having some fun at night, all you have to do is hit this thing with some glow-in-the-dark spray paint, a little bit of light, and you'll be able to see it at nighttime from distance. So if you guys are interested, I will put a link down to these Infinity Targets down below. Check it out. These are the last targets you guys will need. So with that being said, let's get to the video. So things like that are exactly what you want to see in times where somebody oversteps their boundaries. Sometimes civil disobedience is exactly what needs to happen, and that is what's happening in New Mexico right now, which is fantastic because you have to remember that there's a couple things that people are kind of missing here because everybody's mad at the governor, and rightly so, right? She's trying to impede and infringe on people's Second Amendment rights, and so a lot of people are upset with that. But you have to remember that whatever document she signs, whatever words she speaks, carry absolutely no weight if there's not anybody there to enforce it, right? So if you have these sheriffs and these deputies and these police officers that are out there, if they decide to enforce something that's completely unconstitutional, then it's as much on them as it is the governor. So with that being said, there needs to be an end to this whole I'm just following orders thing. You have a duty and an obligation to not follow orders that infringe on people's civil liberties and people's civil rights. And that's exactly what we have with the Second Amendment. If that governor was to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to suspend the first, I'm going to suspend the second, I'm going to suspend the fifth, and goes down a list and creates an entire document of things that are going to be suspended for a 30-day period, again, it wouldn't mean anything if there was nobody there to enforce it. It would just be a piece of paper. So I've heard some other good things that are coming out of this one. We have multiple lawsuits from people within the Republican Party in New Mexico, lawsuits coming from the NAGR. There are also lawsuits, and I think there's even people from within her own party that are kind of joining on to this. And there is also a push for an impeachment as well. So this is basically what she did by doing this is she exposed everything that the anti-gun left is about, right? And so even they're kind of freaking out a little bit. They're not liking the fact that she's showing all of their cards right away by suspending the Second Amendment for 30 days and by telling people that you're not allowed to do something that is a constitutional right. She's showing what they're willing to do and how far they're willing to go, and they don't like that at all. So again, there's impeachment, there's lawsuits, there's civil disobedience. What I want to see next is I want to see all of the law enforcement get together, all of the sheriffs of these different counties get together and say, these don't hold any weight with us. Anytime you infringe on somebody's civil liberties, we're not going to enforce it. And that would basically be the end of it. That would be the end of that. If it's not going to be enforced, then it carries absolutely no weight. But again, it's this show of disobedience that I like the most. I mean, I would hope that that would happen in more places. I've seen, I posted some stuff on Instagram, and I got a lot of comments from people saying that New Mexico is going to be the next California. Well, it's only going to be the next California if people in New Mexico allow it to be the next California. That's the big problem. In California, you have these cities, and these major cities are so densely populated that they control the votes, right? And so everybody that's outside of these cities really doesn't have much of a say. There's such a small portion of the overall number of the voting public that they basically get voted out. So the people in the cities in California are really the ones that are making all of these policy decisions. In New Mexico, being that it's obviously set up a bit different than California, I think there's a better chance of people using their voice and using their vote in order to make the proper change so that it doesn't end up being California. But I got a lot of comments like that saying that they are going to be the next California. And again, I just wanted to say, if you live in New Mexico and you're watching this, that's up to you. That's up to you what happens from here on out, because now you have the ball is in your court. They've shown their hand, they've taken their shot, and now it's up to you to make things different. So again, what we need is more of what we're seeing right now. Civil disobedience, and we need to see people who are actually making a change, and we need to see law enforcement get together and say, we're not going to do this. So again, I think that what's happening in New Mexico as far as people's response to what she did is fantastic, and we need more people to do that and show her that, hey, regardless of what paper you sign or what reason you have, you don't have the right to suspend people's civil liberties. And that's pretty much the end of that story right there. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you say. Rights are eternal. They're inalienable. It means that even if the Constitution didn't exist, we would still have those rights. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick and show you guys that little clip right there. And, bravo to those people that are standing up in New Mexico. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.